took off running towards town. My wife enthusiastically said, "What do you mean, put his cell phone in his sock?" She made the statement, he took off like his truck was going to blow up. And she said, "What you mean, like his truck was? Why would you say that?" And it startled her because of the way my wife said it. And so I said, "Which way did he go? Towards town." "How long ago?" 20 minutes. So it was strange. Thereby we went straight towards Hip Hill, looking for him along the way. Did not see him. Within the hour, I said, "This is strange. Let's go to the police department." Found the sheriff department, and it seemed like the officer was there waiting on us outside. We went up, asked him the same question as you saw. "Have y'all picked him up? Anybody?" "No, we don't know anything, but we will call the city." And city, "No, we don't have anything, but we'll be looking for it." We looked around in town for another hour or so, and we decided to go back down to CL and M. We sit down to between 12 and 1 o'clock that night. My wife brought me back home. Unknown to me, she didn't come home when we had met in town. And she went back and spent the rest of the night. And the next morning, her and my daughter-in-law went there, and during the morning they was presented a watch. "Can you identify this watch?" We found it on across the road. Then the officers hurriedly left them, did not even take them with them, and they had to find them down across the road. And all of you that went out know it's a mile and about 2/10 down a little dark road that a soldier would be afraid to go down at night by himself. When my wife and daughter-in-law found the lawmen, they hurriedly told them they had to leave because they would contaminate the area. Needless to say, the farmer and his family was there. And in their finding, when they were there, after they rushed away, and they stayed a few hours, and my wife made up her mind. If you know my wife, she is a hard one to, she's a hard pill to swallow. So she took courage and went back and said, "No, I'm going back." And when they went back, they found a 5 or 6 inch strip of blue scrub piece hung on barbed wire fence. And I'm a country boy from Mississippi. I have about 10 scars on my legs from jumping barbed wire fences. Never in all of my jumping and tearing pants did I ever tear a rectangular piece out and left it hanging on the fence. My son always been a lot better than me, I guess. But needless to say, they said we found this. And we also found his scrub top and his license and credit card pack about 50 yards inside the pasture, along with his keys. And we also found his scrub bottoms further down in the pasture. And we went a little further and we found his Under Armour. He had nice tattoos of his kids and angel wings on his shoulders. And he was very professional, so he wore long Under Armour. We found it further, and then we found, and it was wrapped around a barbed wire fence piece. The top piece of wire was broke as if he ran into it and full speed and broke it and wrapped his shirt up in it. It took about 10 minutes to take it off. And last but not least, we found one of his socks in the field. And this is what my wife, but can we see his clothes? No, we've already picked them up for evidence. You cannot see them. So my family never identified any clothes that they say they found. Fast forward apart, they brought in dogs. I was there. They brought in a set of dogs from Woodville. They traced them to the creek, which was about 500 or 600 yards from the farmhouse. As far as they went, they brought in another set from Palestine. They traced him to the same and said couldn't go no further. So I asked the sheriff, does this mean that he might be in the creek? No, we think he doubled back. And so the search began. Many of you came to the search. You understand that many of you who came to search, you were not allowed to search. You was given the excuse by the department that if you was not physically fit, you don't need to go out in the woods. Many ATVs were bought. I had family members to even bring horses. They were trained horsemen and cowboys from Polk and San Jacinto County. They were not allowed to go on the searches. None of these entities was used. We searched, and everyone knows that we searched in one direction. Anytime you do a search, you should do a radius search. All the searching was done in one direction. And after 4 days, and Pastor Lewis, he almost had to hand me his religion and let me hold it for him. Now, he wouldn't dare lay it down, but he almost asked me to hold his religion. Because they would not let us search the barns of the adjacent neighbor. Had 3 barns, but they said he ran off and all he would have on was tennis shoes and his briefs. And anyone who is cold going to look for a hay barn. And they would not let us search those barns. And we've had various stories since then, since one barn was burned down. But nevertheless, fast forward 4 days, they called the search off. But on the first day of the search, the sheriff comes to me and say, I just want you to know that your son is exemplifying characteristics of being on illegal drugs. Probably meth and something laced with PCP. Because it make you run, it make you hot. Seem like you're burning up on the inside. You just strip out your clothes as you run along. And it just seemed like this is what he's done. And on Sunday, the second day of the sweep search, the assistant fire chief comes and said, you know what, I was a mess. The sheriff said that I'm a 13-year recovering addict. I know what I'm talking about. Didn't ask for it, didn't tell him my son was on drugs, ever used drugs, but he came here painting this picture on the first day of the search. The assistant fire chief on the second day, you think your son was on drugs? No. If he was, only his wife would know that because he wouldn't even smoke a cigarette in front of me. He wouldn't even drink his Bud Light in front of me, and I know he drank it. I said, so I would not know that. Well, I tell you what, I am a recovering meth addict. For 2 days, I was under a bridge naked in Houston. And after that, for 12 days, a total of 14 days, I wouldn't let nobody find me. Your son is probably out here and he's ashamed, and it's a 2-week wonder that you probably won't even see your son. He might decide to come out. Okay? And so this is the picture that was painted. And out of all we went through, this is the kicker. On the 18th day when we found my son, the Texas Ranger who had a working relationship with the sheriff when they were DPS officers, the Texas Ranger was his boss. Y'all didn't know that. Well, the Texas Ranger, Danny Young, who I know very well. I taught his oldest kid, and I'm teaching his youngest kid now in PE. And we found my son. I would not let Sabine County touch him. I was ready to fight or die. And they knew it. So I called Texas Rangers. When he came, I said, Mr. Young, I'm sorry, you can't touch him either. You have you're a friend and you have a relationship. What you talking about? You don't trust me? It's not about trusting you. I've got a son and I got to live after this. You need to call somebody else. And after apprehension, much apprehensive, I hollered out to somebody and said, call State Representative James Wright. And when I hollered out that, he made his way to, I got to call my superior. You probably want to stay here all night. I said, I'm ready to stay all night. And that's what I did. That's what I did. But when we got the other Texas Ranger, the next day, he was heard telling someone that this is clearly a drug case. As if he had already had an autopsy. As if he had already had a toxicology test done. This is clearly a drug case. Remember how the sheriff started painting the picture on the first day? The assistant fire chief painted some more on the second day. And on the 18th day, the Texas Ranger, who we in Texas feel and think that is like the FBI in the United States, tells me, and he's overheard saying, it's clearly a drug case. Finished painting the picture that was already started. You all know about the autopsy, the first autopsy. They say it was inconclusive. No sign of trauma. And you all want to know why I was so anxious to get a second autopsy? In Freedom Summer, 1964, I was raised up 38 miles from where they buried Swanson, Goodman, and Cheney under the dam in Mississippi. My father pastored the Mississippi Burning Church that was portrayed on Mississippi Burning a few months before they was going to investigate the fire burning that church down. In their case, the autopsy that they took by the state said that they were shot, which all three of them were shot, but they said there was no sign of trauma. The pathologist out of New York who took it by, even from opposition of law enforcement,